Hello, adventurers. In my opinion, DreamWorks is one of the most underrated film studio out there. They make some really good movies like Shrek, How to Train Your Dragon, Shark Tales, Kung Fu Panda. They make some really good movies. But there is one movie, in my opinion, that beat all the other movies. And that movie is Over the Hedge. Now, before you start flaming me in the comments, let me explain why I think Over the Hedge is, if not one of the best DreamWorks movies. Don't get me wrong, I love How to Train Your Dragon. It's one of my favorites. Shrek's pretty good too, Kung Fu Panda's pretty good, but Over the Hedge is one of my all-time favorite movies. Start off with the first reason I believe Over the Hedge is one of the best DreamWorks movies. That is the plot. If you've never seen Over the Hedge, the plot of the movie is a raccoon named RJ steals food from a bear named Vincent when RJ wrecks all the food Vincent had stored up for the winter. Vincent tells him he's got 1 week to replace the food he has destroyed. Now that RJ is in debt to Vincent, he has to come up with a plan. How is he going to replace all the food that he has destroyed? He finds out that he's going to need some help in order for him to do this. He comes across this group of woodland creatures that are also trying to stock up food for the winter. When he comes up with an idea that he can trick these woodland creatures into helping him steal food for Vincent by stealing from the nearby neighborhood. And that's hence why the movie's called Over the Hedge. Vern, a turtle, a stubborn turtle, doesn't fully believe RJ. He feels there's something RJ's not fully telling them. So they basically start going over the hedge and collecting food while Vern stays back because he doesn't trust what they're doing. When they get noticed by a suburb lady and freaks out, she then calls a exterminator named Dwayne. Now, Dwayne spends majority of the movie trying to capture these creatures. Let's forward to the end of the movie. They have now collected enough food to basically pay Vincent back. Again, the group does not know this. RJ takes the wagon of food towards Vincent. But this is where we run into the issue of the gang now has been captured by Dwayne. And RJ has the hard decision to either continue walking towards Vincent and deliver the food and his debt is paid off, or save his friends. What do you guys think he's gonna do? Well, of course you are right. He decides to save his friends. I mean, he's been spending most of his time with this group of people, and he's gotten a connection built with them. RJ and Vern have to come up with a plan to save all of their friends. And RJ comes up with a plan to give Hammy a energy drink. And when you give Hammy a energy drink, he becomes a super, super fast, hyperactive squirrel. He tricks the 3 antagonists into the traps that Dwayne has set, and they basically catch themselves in those traps. Lead to the end of the movie where they all get arrested and everybody accepts RJ as part of the family, and Vern actually relaxes a little bit. In the whole entire movie, I never feel like there's a dull moment that I just don't love. I love that Vern spends a whole movie hating RJ and basically not believing anything he says. Towards the end of the movie, RJ and Vern become best friends, and I love it. Which I think we should move into the second part of the reason why I love this movie. The next point I want to bring to why I think Over the Hedge is one of the best DreamWorks movies, if not the best DreamWorks movie, is the characters. I feel a good movie has to have wonderful characters. And I always feel like there's always that one character people hate. There's always that comedic character. There's always the sassy character. And in the movie, there are a lot of characters to get to know and love. Starting off, obviously, we have RJ, the raccoon. Now, every movie seems to make a raccoon always just kind of like, I care for myself, which they do in this movie too. Only cares for himself, stealing food, looking out for himself. But then at the end of the movie, obviously he looks out for his friends that he has made along the way, and he gets accepted into the family. So he finally feels like he's a part of something. I love, again, it's a trope that usually gets used in a lot of movies. But they do such a great job with RJ in it that I can't even be mad about it. I will say this, Vern is kind of hard to like at first when you watch the movie. But after you watch the movie the first time, you kind of see why he's the way that he is. He wants to make sure everybody is fed. He wants to make sure everything's done right. And everybody just thinks he's a stuck-up turtle. Like, they love him, but they're like, dude, you need to relax, okay? By the end of the movie, Vern finally relaxes, but the whole movie he spends being like, I don't trust this raccoon. And he's right. I mean, he was right. The whole movie, he was right. It was like, RJ's wrong. RJ was trying to pull something on them. Then you have Hammy. Hammy's supposed to be the comedic character, but I love the twist that they did. I love the fact that they made him a squirrel and he's hyperactive. Like, when you watch that as a kid, everybody I feel like that watches Over the Hedge feels like they are Hammy. When I was a kid, I was like, yo, Hammy is me. I'm literally this hyper. I freaking love this character. I don't think there's a single part of the movie that I dislike Hammy. Then we have Stella, the skunk. And Stella's the sassy black lady. Now, obviously, every movie either has a sassy character or a sassy black lady, but I feel like they just do Stella so well. I don't know if there's a part in the movie that I'm just like, okay, Stella is annoying. Because sometimes with the sassy character, they always turn it up way too much and she gets annoying or he gets annoying. But she's just so perfect. Even when there's a part in the movie where she has to act like a cat and hit on this other cat, and the other cat obviously doesn't know, but he like loves Stella. He like falling in love with Stella, and Stella's just like, oh my God, I don't like this. You know, I'm an independent kind of character. But it still revolves that, hey, she'll do anything to help her friends out. And it's just a well-rounded character. Like, she's sassy, but she's willing to do the extra stuff to help her friends out. Next, we have Ozzy and Heather. Now, these are main characters, but the more, I would say, side characters over main characters, because they're in the movie, but they're not in the movie as much as, you know, RJ, Vern, Hammy, and Stella. Ozzy is the character that he faints. He's a possum. What do possums do? They faint. They fake dead. So for the whole movie, that was his trope. He would fake death so that people were like, oh, he's dead, I'll throw him away, or just leave him. And Heather wanted to be just like her dad. She wanted to do whatever she can to fake death, the protective parent. He never wanted Heather to do what he did. He wanted to make sure that she was safe and protected. And I just love these two together. I feel like they might not be as big as some of the other characters, but I feel like without this movie, it wouldn't have that trope. It wouldn't have that certain accent that it needs to be what it is. Like, at the end of the movie, Heather finally gets the chance to faint, and it is such a wonderful moment that Ozzy gets to see, and it is so cool. I just love it. And then you have the porcupines. So obviously you have Penny and Lou, which are the parents, and then you have the three kids. Now I'm going to talk about just the parents, because the kids themselves are pretty good characters. They're kind of that protective, you know, they watch over their kids and stuff. All the characters in the movie are phenomenal. Even the antagonist characters. Gladys, I will say this. I understand that she's the suburban Karen. She's supposed to be that annoying character that everybody hates. And I will agree with you. I hate her. But I totally understand why she's doing what she's doing. She's doing it because she has seen these creatures running into people's houses and stealing stuff. So what does she do as an HOA person? She calls Dwayne, the exterminator, to get rid of them. And the whole entire time, she's like, do your job. If you can't do your job, I will do it. Which leads to her actually getting trapped into one of his traps, which is funny. And then you have Dwayne. Dwayne, the whole movie, is trying to capture these creatures. He'll do whatever he can do to get these animals. So you kind of feel that he's just trying to do his job. And he can't do his job because they are just smarter than him. And then you have Vincent, which honestly, I feel like Vincent, out of all the antagonists, I feel bad for the most. He's literally just hibernating at the start of the movie, or getting ready to hibernate. And RJ just comes in as a dickhead, steals all of his food, destroys all of his food. He wakes up, finds out that all of his food is gone. And he's just like, dude, I'm just trying to sleep and be prepared for the winter. And you ruined it, RJ. So you kind of feel for him. And then obviously at the end of the movie, they all get arrested, go to all the characters in the movie. I don't think there's a single character that I hate. Even like the side characters, like the cat, and just any other characters that's not really in the movie for long, are super fun. We made it to the final point. Now, if you've been watching this far, you might be agreeing with me now, or you still might be disagreeing with me. But my third point, I feel, is my strongest point. The plot and the characters, yes, they can carry a movie. But I think what totally makes a movie great or not great is the sequel potential. And I'm not talking about, oh, this movie did so great, it deserves a sequel. I'm talking about a movie coming out doing so good that they either don't make a sequel or they do make a sequel. Because a lot of the times when they make a sequel for a movie, the sequel's not as good. Now, don't get me wrong. I will say Shrek 2, I think, is better than Shrek 1. I just love some of the stuff that they did with it and the gags that they went with, but I still say Shrek 1 is pretty good. Kung Fu Panda, I will say the first one was better than the other two. So, you know, it kind of does the thing. And then How to Train Your Dragon, that's another one I will say. I almost feel like the first one was so good, I can see why they made sequels. I like the second and third one, but I still don't know if I would say it beats the first one. I would have to rewatch them. It's been a while. But Over the Hedge, from my knowledge, is one of the only DreamWorks movies that has never gotten a sequel. Now, they had like those like spin-offs or those short DreamWorks used to do where they would make like a little short film type thing. And they made one with Hammy. So I don't really count those because those aren't a full-blown, we're taking every single character and we're making another sequel out of it. Over the Hedge is the only movie that I feel like did such a great job with the first movie that they're just like, we should just leave it. And there's probably to make a second one and they just never did. I think if they did make a second one, I don't think it would have done as well. I just feel like there's no way they could have made a second one. I don't know what they would have done, but I feel like the first one fits so perfectly with the idea that they were going with that a second one would just not have worked. Like, what would they have done? Winter happens, something happens, they run out of food, and then they have to go get more food. Okay, I could see that. What also could you do with the characters, though? Because I always feel like when you take a movie that did so well and you try to make a sequel with it, you have to redevelop a character or take another character that was in the original and redevelop those characters. I don't know how they would have done that with Over the Hedge. Take RJ, for example. RJ was a loner. He did everything for himself. Throughout the movie, he was like, no, I should help other people. I should be part of something because he wanted to be a part of something. I feel the only way they could have done it is doing Over the Hedge 2 and having completely new characters. I feel like that's the only way they could have done it, or doing like a prequel where they like, how did they all get to the hedge? Obviously, RJ being out of it, but how did the others get to the hedge? You know, I guess that could have been something. Over the Hedge was just such a good movie and a good premise that leaving it as what it is what makes the movie even better. Just the fact that no one ruined it. And I will say this. I am surprised that DreamWorks hasn't tried to bring it back. With all the remakes, all the live actions, all the, we're restarting the brand. I'm just surprised that they have not tried to make a second one. And that's why I believe Over the Hedge deserves to be number one. Everything about that movie is perfect. Now, obviously, I don't know if it's 100% perfect because obviously there's some ways that stuff could be made better. There's different ways you could take something. But I will say it is pretty solid. And the fact that they decided not to make a sequel or try to make a sequel, I think just makes the movie even better. And I would love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know, do you agree? Maybe some other reasons you think Over the Hedge is better than other DreamWorks movies. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm delusional. I'm a crazy person. And I deserve to have no taste in movies. Write down in the comments down below too. I love DreamWorks movies. I honestly feel like they are a very underrated studio because they come up with some bangers and I feel like no one really talks about them. I mean, heck, Shrek is one of the biggest DreamWorks movies. How to Train Your Dragon is such a big movie. Kung Fu Panda even are such big movies. And I feel like people talk more about Disney or Illuminations. If you guys did enjoy this and want me to talk more about movies, hit that subscribe button. And you guys should check out this video right here where I talked about Cartoon Network dying. It's a sad time. Watch it, please.